Former Congressman Joe Bonner is co-chairing this thing in Alabama, and Jason Gross is, you are the executive director of the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. You guys are expanding into Alabama, and I see a lot of heavy hitters here who are on board with this thing. Why does it matter? Explain to our audience why this matters to the average person and what it's going to do to Alabama.
Well, Fred, first of all, thank you so much for letting Jason and me be on the program with you this morning. I know that weather is a paramount concern, and just listening to the lead-in news coming into your program, there were some deaths up in Jackson County, so I know right now people are probably thinking about other things than what some former congressman from South Alabama and a guy from Washington, D.C. might be doing. But this really is not about us. It's about a lot of people from all walks of life throughout the state of Alabama who've joined a national coalition, the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. It's expanded into Alabama in a big-time way. And what we're trying to do is to make certain that America's leadership around the world has a direct impact on us in Alabama. And being in Huntsville and in North Alabama, you know that so well, with all of the different companies and industries that have come and people who've come from all over the world to help build the Huntsville economy that's the envy of not only the state but really the southeastern United States region. This is an organization that's got a lot of respect in Washington, and we're just so honored to have it be a part of the Alabama story as well. And I'm joined with former Governor Jim Folsom. It's a bipartisan group, Democrats, Republicans, people who are totally out of politics, who are faith leaders, academics. It's a broad coalition of people who are committed to making sure that as we're talking about American leadership in the world, we're also keeping a focus on Alabama's leadership in that conversation.
So is this, Jason, is this the tip of the kind of the tip of the spear of opening markets for Alabama and other states that participate in this? Is that kind of what this is?
That's a big part of it. Definitely, Fred. You're talking about a bedrock of the Alabama economy is where it exports. And we're talking about nearly $20 billion a year that Alabama companies export, supporting over 560,000 jobs in the state. That's a big deal. And what we're talking about here are our efforts, our civilian engagement with the world, our diplomatic programs, and our economic development programs around the world that help, as you kind of put it, with the tip of the spear, to help stabilize and bring more prosperity around the world so that countries where our exports are growing, and we know that 95% of our customers are abroad, and when those countries are addressing global health issues, are getting better educated, are setting rule of law and the proper infrastructure for private investment to flow, that's when Alabama companies can export more around the world, and that's a great deal for the people of Alabama.
Do you guys see this as an opportunity here? Because we have a new administration coming in. Trump has made no secret that he wants better trade deals. Does this give your organization a chance to be the good cop versus the bad cop kind of thing? I mean, I'm kind of seeing this maybe being a scenario that might play out. Am I off here?
I don't think you're off at all. I think, in fact, really, whether Secretary Clinton had won or Mr. Trump, who ended up winning, the fact of the matter is that the world needs a strong America, and a strong America has changed the world, as you know, Fred, and your listeners know, throughout the decades and the centuries. There's no other country that has had more impact in some 220, 230 years than the United States of America. So it is vitally important, and I think some of the people that the president-elect has already been talking to or has tapped to come into his administration certainly reflect that view as well. General James Mattis is someone that is at the top of the list, being mentioned to head up the Department of Defense. Marine General, I met him on several trips when I was in Congress, going overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan. General Mattis said that if you don't fund the State Department fully, then he's going to need to buy more ammunition. So this really is about projecting strength not only in a defense way, but in a security way as well. And when you think about all the challenges that we're facing in the world, whether it's the threat of ISIS, we saw the attack up at Ohio State yesterday. Don't know for sure if that's confirmed an ISIS-related threat, but they've certainly taken credit for it, or the Zika virus, or any of a host of other challenges facing the world. Once again, it's going to require strong leadership, and I think no one knows that more than the president-elect and his new incoming administration.
So I guess the name of this U.S. Global Leadership Coalition is more than just trade. It's relationships in general from, I guess, the state level. Because, I mean, in Alabama, you might have somebody say, well, we're doing okay. We go to Hong Kong. We go to Luxembourg around here. We have relationships in Germany and South America and Central America. This is just sort of an underpinning of the entire thing. Is that another way of explaining this?
Well, it's also about national security, Fred, too, as the Congressman alluded to. So both General Mattis and also General Petraeus, with whom the President-elect has been talking about potentially joining his cabinet, they're both members of our National Security Advisory Council, which is another part of this coalition, along with our great leadership in Alabama, our business and our nonprofit humanitarian leadership. And now we have these 170 retired 3- and 4-star flag officers who really make the case that about being forward engaged in the world, about being proactive, and about funding our diplomatic and development programs, kind of the 3D national defense strategy that includes, of course, defense alongside diplomacy and development, makes us safer in the long term. It makes their jobs more effective when we're deployed abroad, and hopefully it provides the kind of stability that helps us avoid extremism and instability from springing up around the world, and that's what causes more of a terrorist threat to us back home. So the more we can try and build more stable societies out there, our leading national security experts are telling us that, and are standing with this group to be able to say that's a wise investment to avoid having to spend defense dollars down the road.
So in this aspect, it is sort of the unofficial back channel. You're going to hear things from countries that maybe officially wouldn't talk to each other at a certain level, but you guys might pick up something through this leadership coalition that that government to government may not, and you may stave off something pretty dire, huh?
Well, we're also trying to help tell the story that what we're spending in our overseas investments is really just pennies on the dollar. You can go to any coffee shop in Huntsville today, and most everybody would say that they think we're wasting too much money by giving money overseas. First of all, we don't give money overseas, but we make strategic investments. But the fact is that we're spending about 1 penny out of every dollar. Now, I know we've got a $20 trillion debt. We're very mindful of the debt of this nation, but we're also aware of the fact that if we don't make positive, smart, strategic investments, then we really are tying the hands of our military, who we oftentimes ask to go in there and to finish the job. Look, we've got so many great leaders from your area, from Huntsville and North Alabama, Joe Valley with Lockheed Martin, one of the largest defense companies in the world. Ken Tucker with Boeing is on our advisory board. Several state legislators from your area. Ann Burkett with the North Alabama International Trade Association. These are leaders in Huntsville and in North Alabama, and they know, just like leaders in South Alabama and Central Alabama and the Wiregrass, that the world is depending on a strong America, and there's no pulling back right now. American leadership abroad is more important today, I think, than probably ever before.
And I'm not against giving countries money. It's just I hate it when we give money to people who hate us. That's part of the strategic investment part, I guess, right?
Well, and again, I think you've got to be. I think we have to be very careful when we're talking about what we're doing. Let me. And I don't know if we're getting ready to go to.
Well, yeah, we got to hang on. We'll let you wrap up in the next segment here. Former Congressman Joe Bonner is heading up the effort here as co-chair of the Alabama Advisory Committee and we also have Jason Gross with the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. You're going to be hearing more about it in Alabama. We'll chat some more about where we're going with this thing coming up. Congressman Joe Bonner and also Jason Gross were talking about the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. Congressman Bonner, I want to get back to local leadership a little bit, and this is a real short segment, and I'll give you guys an opportunity to tell folks how to find out more about it, because I don't want to get too down in the weeds here. But what locally should people be expecting out of this, and particularly with some of this local leadership you mentioned?
Well, recently we had our first introduction into Alabama with a great event in Montgomery. Some of the top business, military, and community leaders joined us. U.S. Representative Martha Roby was our keynote speaker, but we had people from all over. We're hoping to come back. We'd love to do something in Huntsville in North Alabama, to go down to Mobile. So we're going to be out, and the people in your community are going to be helping to tell this story at Rotary clubs and Lions clubs. And what we would like to do is invite everybody. You can go to our website. That's one way to learn more about the Global Leadership Coalition. But you can also be engaged by contacting your representative, Mo Brooks, and our two great senators, Jeff Sessions and Dick Shelby. And they've already been so very supportive. They've met with us in Washington. They've endorsed the underlying principle that we need to be a strong presence, because not only is it important for the world, for America to be strong, it's important for America, for Alabama to be strong as well.
All right, seems like everybody. Jason, you guys are on Twitter, USGC, GLC, right?
Yeah. And then a website, usglc.org/Alabama, to learn more about what this matters to Alabama. And as the Congressman said, how you can join us in for meetings we're going to have in Alabama with elected members, some more public events following on our work with Martha Roby. And we're going to be having our summit where we gather leaders from across the country in Washington, D.C. Next June. So we'd love to have everyone, community leaders, joining us up for that as well.
All right. Former Congressman Joe Bonner, South Alabama, and also Executive Director Jason Gross, the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. You're going to be hearing a whole lot about it. Guys, we appreciate you being with us, and we're glad all the equipment worked. I'm excited.
Fred, thanks so much, and tell Scotty thank you as well.
Absolutely. I'd be
Fred, thank you for the time.
I'd be in trouble without him. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Good morning to you.